Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Looking at my community board for questions, and one came up about Ron DeSantis. It looks like he's going to be an eventual loser in this presidential run. Will he return to Florida meaner than ever, or maybe a little bit enlightened? Things aren't looking really good for Ron, are they? When I've done readings on it, what I saw was that he's running out of money, and right around the time, I think, of the Iowa caucuses, between there and like maybe Super Tuesday, but somewhere around there, he basically drops out. He doesn't have the money to keep going on, and he's not getting the support he needs to do this. Now, the question is, when he goes back to Florida, does he come back nicer and enlightened, or does he go back meaner? I'm afraid, given what we know about Ron DeSantis, I think we know what the answer is going to be. It's probably going to be meaner. But, we'll see. Entertainment purposes only. Will Ron DeSantis come back nicer or meaner to Florida when he is no longer a presidential candidate? Well, there's going to be a lot of judgment. You know what this tells me? It doesn't matter what he comes back as. He's going to come back to some very disappointed constituents. And this is going to be all the stuff that he's enacted. Sidebar already. We sometimes only get to the signifying card. A lot of the stuff he did in Florida served two purposes. One, it was going to be his way of showing America how he was going to take charge and lead. The second thing was he was going to win the president nomination and win the presidency, so he wasn't going to have to deal with it or clean it up. Now he's going to have to deal with it, and he's going to have to clean stuff up. People are there, and we don't want immigrants, so they get rid of all the immigrants. Now nothing's getting built. Goes after Disney. Disney's kicking his butt left, right, and center in the court system. Going after LGBTQ members, so on and so forth. And when he's back there, he's got to deal with this stuff quickly. It's coming at him fast and furious. It's almost like he gets out of the presidential race, and then he's just being hammered at home with all his court cases and all his misdeeds. It's like it's all dumping on him at once. It's a big tsunami wave. Knight of Wands is underneath it. It's basically, he had a plan, and his plan wasn't to deal with this stuff. And now he's got to deal with it. It wouldn't surprise me to see him resign his position. No, well, okay, let me take that back. It would surprise me if he resigned it, because he's got power. And he doesn't want to willingly give up power. But if he doesn't want to deal with stuff, and if he's got some criminal liability forward, do not be surprised if he leaves. There might be a plan in place for succession for Ron DeSantis. He shouldn't have been able to be governor in Florida anyways. When you were running for president, they had a law saying that you couldn't maintain your political position as governor, but they changed that law to accommodate him. Congratulations. So we're asking, is he going to come back nicer, kinder, gentler? In the past, he had the Four of Pentacles. This is him trying to consolidate power and maintain power and control over Florida. This is not so much the presidential campaign, but because he wants so much control, he couldn't delegate control to others, and his campaign couldn't grow. It could only be restricted. And so when Trump realized that DeSantis was his only real threat early on, Trump went after DeSantis, and DeSantis, kind of held his tongue and didn't say anything back, and it didn't do DeSantis any favors. And now when he's opening up his mouth going against Trump, he gets piled on by all the other Republican candidates. So right now he's in a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of position. Current situation. Nine of Cups. So when he does go back, when he does call it quits, and he goes back to Florida to be the governor, he thinks he's going to be, the governor that he started out the year as. I'm in charge. Everybody's lined up behind me. Everybody supports me. I'm going to have things my way. And there's nothing you can do about it. But really what he's got is a whole bunch of court cases behind him. And he's the one thing in common with those court cases. He's going to have to do a lot of fighting. He has, by his actions, he's created a lot of judgment that's going to happen on him quickly. He is going to be under siege. The minute he gets back, he's under siege. He's just fighting off scandal after scandal, court case after court case. He's not going to be able to really do any leading because he's fighting the whole time. Any of the awful programs that come out of Florida aren't going to be driven by him. They'll be signed by him, but they won't be driven by him. They'll be driven by the GOP that's in place there. Lesson to be learned from this whole experience. Floridians need to understand they have a choice. They don't need to keep supporting this guy. And he also has a choice. He doesn't necessarily need to be the governor of Florida anymore. There are other things he could be doing. Outcome, burden. Okay, well, I don't think he's going to leave. I think he's going to suffer the burden. His lousy leadership skills and his desire to be president has made his job 10 times more difficult because he did things that were short-sighted to help his political career to be president. And now he's going to have to deal with the consequences of it. Again, there's going to be a movement afoot probably to remove him. It may not go anywhere. But what's going to be interesting is where that movement originates from. Because it may not be the Democrats. It may be the Republicans that want to do something like that. Okay. I don't think he's allowed to run for re-election. I think there's term limits in Florida. Let me double check that real quick here. Hang on. Okay, and we're back. He got re-elected as governor, and you cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms as governor. So he cannot rerun for governor after this term is up. So maybe I'll ask the quick question. Will Ron DeSantis serve out his full term? I think maybe that's the way to look at it. Will Ron DeSantis serve out his full term? Come on down. Let's see what we got. The Lover's card. Agreements. Maybe he will if he maintains Republican support. Ooh. Oh my. 4 major arcana out of 4. 5 out of 5. Oh gosh, there's some government issues coming up here. Investigations looking into him involving women and his relationships with women. It's going to bring an end to his career. Yeah, I remember him sort of being the school teacher with partying with the high school students. Trump said that he had some affairs going on with young women, but we still haven't heard about that yet. Pregnant with possibilities. Did he get somebody pregnant for entertainment purposes only? I don't know. This man's going to make it through his... I don't know if he's going to make it through his full term. I think he's going to have some court cases he's going to have to deal with here. And it's going to involve, potentially, again, entertainment purposes only, if I'm interpreting those cards correctly, it's going to involve a young woman and her baby that he may be the baby daddy for. Well, there's a scandalous one. Again, now I've got no proof of that. That is just one quick interpretation of those cards. But, that'll be wild if that ends up being the case. Okay. One last thing to throw out here. What spiritual lesson did Ron DeSantis take away from this presidential run? What spiritual lesson did Ron DeSantis take away from this presidential run? It's about those hard and fast decisions that he made. Making decisions without considering the consequences. Disappointment and betrayal. Politics is an ugly business, and you need to have people on your side. You can't go it alone and be a maverick or a lone wolf on something like that. You need backing from people, and you can't double cross people that you do agreements with. It was maybe naive for him to run for the presidency. Maybe he got talked into it. Maybe he thought that this was going to be a piece of cake or something like that, but it really wasn't. Oh God. 7 of Swords, Ace of Cups. Okay. What was the spiritual lesson? This was a bad idea. This was a bad idea, and he needs to make better decisions. He was naive with this one. He thought he'd be a great president and that people would love him, but people didn't love him, and then he got attacked on all sides. He wasn't used to that. He wasn't used to being attacked by, Trump and other Republicans and stuff like that. I think the other thing that was going on is that I think he was going after some monies or something along those lines. He was trying to get away with something. A lot of fundraising and stuff like that, from big donors and such. And don't be surprised if Ronnie Boy here wasn't skimming a little off the top, because apparently that's what we do these days. But he didn't have the emotional maturity. He's too thin-skinned to run for president, just like Trump. He's too thin-skinned to do that. He can't handle criticism. And when he gets criticized, it makes him want to lash back at people. And I don't think he learned this lesson. I would be amazed. That was the lesson he was supposed to learn. That he needs to think not only intellectually about his decisions, but emotionally about his decisions and how it's going to impact people. That, you can't be a lone wolf. You need support from lots of people, and people will attack you when they think you're trying to be the top dog. And he's too thin-skinned. He doesn't have the right temperament as a presidential candidate or to be president. So that's my thoughts on Ron DeSantis. I think his campaign's going to fail. He's not going to come back a kinder, gentler person. He's going to come back to just a slew of court cases, all of his own doing because of his arrogance. And he may not serve out his full term for other behaviors of his. I'll be really curious to see if that one pans out. Okay. This is my take on that. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your likes and comments and shares. Thank you for all the subscribers who've been sticking with me for all these months. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the new subscribers who have come across my videos. I hope you find them enlightening and insightful and somewhat entertaining. And I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.